Hi, it's been a few days since my last video, and so today I want to go into Matthew chapter 2. And I'm going to hope that this is going to bless you today. I hope that as I read this that you're going to be able to focus on this and that I'll be able to convey the message here that God has for us in Matthew chapter 2. My previous video, you can go see that. It's still up. I'm going to leave it up. But this is a short exposition on Matthew chapter 2. Here we go. Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that is born the King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. And when Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. And they said unto him, In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor, that shall rule my people Israel. Then Herod, when he had privately called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, and said, Go and search diligently for the young child, and when you have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. When they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. And when they saw the star, they were rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child and with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold, and frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned of God in a dream, that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country by another way. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeareth unto Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night, and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt I have called my son. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth, and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, and in all the coasts thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, In Ramah there a voice heard lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted because they are not. But when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Lord appeareth in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life. And he arose and took the young child and his mother, and came into the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus did reign in Judah in the room of his father Herod, he was afraid to go thither. Notwithstanding, being warned of God in a dream, he turned aside into parts of Galilee. And he came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophets, He shall be called a Nazarene. All right, so what's going on here in chapter 2 is that Matthew is furthering what he said in chapter 1. So we need to understand that chapters and verses were added later to the Bible. They weren't around at the time of the writing originally. And so with that said, what his theme is, in chapter 1, we discussed that he was laying the groundwork for how Jesus fulfilled prophecy in his lineage, and then how he fulfilled prophecy in his birth. And now we see here that he fulfills prophecy by being born in Bethlehem. He fulfills prophecy in being called out of Egypt. He fulfills prophecy by being from Nazareth in Galilee. And fourth prophecy is fulfilled here when the words of Jeremiah are echoed here in verses 17 and 18, where it said that Rachel would weep for her children and not be comforted because they were not. All of these prophecies Matthew's laying out here to his, again, a Jewish audience that knew the scriptures and had been taught them their entire lives. They knew that the Messiah had to satisfy several prophecies. So we have born of a virgin, son of David. We have born in Bethlehem. We have wise men seeking him from the east. We have fleeing into Egypt and being called out of Egypt. We have the weeping of Rachel. We have being called out of Nazareth. Like, in just 2 chapters here, we're talking about at least 7 messianic prophecies that Jesus fulfills. Now, he has to fulfill all of the messianic prophecies to be the Messiah. So Matthew's laying out that look at his life. This is the account that Matthew saw. He was convinced that this was the Messiah. And the Gospel of Matthew is Matthew's case that Jesus was who he said he was. So this testimony here that we go over today, it is Matthew's accounts of what has happened. Now, to chapters 1 and 2, Matthew's not a witness. These are things that have been told to him by either Jesus or the people around. I mean, maybe Mary told him. I don't know where Matthew heard these stories. I know that he heard them, that he wrote them down, but I also know that Matthew isn't present here physically. So how did he know? I don't know how he knew. It doesn't tell me how he knew. But I know he knew the people that were involved here. He knew Jesus, who knew this story from a time, and he knew Mary, because, the Bible talks about Mary interacting with the disciples. So clearly he knew who she was and could have spoken to her. He lived many years after Christ's crucifixion. So this story that he tells us is after speaking with witnesses to the events. Okay, so that's Matthew chapter 2. Next video will be Matthew chapter 3. This is, again, all of the Christmas account that we have here. And it's interesting to me that Herod, just as a side note, Herod kills all the babies that are under 2. That tells me something else. These wise men, I don't think they show up the night Jesus is born. You see it in every nativity scene. You see the wise men coming from the east following the star. I don't think they're finding an infant Jesus at that time. It calls him a child, but I think this is much later. I think this is about 2 years old, because when they say that they saw his star in the east and then they traveled, and Herod questions them, when did the star appear? Well, did the star appear when he was born? I don't know. I think so. That's how I read it. That's how Herod interpreted it. And that's how he determined which people he should kill to prevent the rising of this governor, this Messiah, that under 2 years old. That's when Herod thought the Messiah was born. So I think that's a reasonable assumption, that we could assume Jesus is about 2 years old at this point when Joseph takes Mary and Jesus over to Egypt. And then, so at the end of chapter 2, we're going to have a big time skip. There's no other accounts of Jesus' childhood in Matthew. There, again, other Gospels. You want to see Jesus at the temple, that's somewhere else. It's not in this book. We're not going to cover that part of the story. But in chapter 3, we're going to start talking about John the Baptist. And if you want more on him, again, I think you're going to want to go over to Luke and read about who John the Baptist was to get a little bit of background here. That's all I've got for you today. I hope the living word brings the written word to life. I really like that. Brother Ralph told me that one, so I'm gonna keep using it. I don't think he'd mind, but I do want to give him credit. So may the Holy Spirit speak to you in this. May you learn. May you correct me if I'm saying something wrong. If I've brought something that's not correct or something you want to expand on, definitely interact with me. Contact me. I don't want to teach anything wrong, so if I'm wrong, let me be corrected. I honestly, that is my prayer in going through this too, is that I would know the Word in a way that I have not known it before. Yeah, so I'll see you next time when we'll do Matthew chapter 3.